Write it down, because the moment you do, something within you begins to listen in a deeper way than it ever has before. Take a breath, slowly, gently, just like that. I want you to imagine, just for a moment, that nothing you've been feeling lately is random. Not the longing, not the quiet frustration, not even that subtle ache in your chest that comes when you wonder, when is it finally going to happen for me? My dear, I know that feeling. That space between where you are and where your heart knows you could be, it can feel heavy sometimes, can't it? Like you're waiting at a door that refuses to open, even though you've knocked so many times. But let me ask you something, softly, honestly. What if the door isn't locked? What if it's simply waiting for you to recognize that you've been holding the key all along? Take another breath, because today we're not going to chase anything. We're not going to force anything. We're simply going to remember something you may have forgotten. There is a quiet power inside you, one that doesn't shout, doesn't rush, doesn't beg. It listens. And when you write something down, truly write it, not just with your hand, but with your awareness, that power begins to respond. Not because the paper is magical, but because you are. You see, sweetheart, most people move through life thinking their thoughts are fleeting, like clouds that pass and disappear. But your thoughts, especially the ones you return to again and again, they are not disappearing. They are planting, like seeds. And every time you repeat a thought, every time you feel it deeply, every time you give it your attention, you are watering that seed. So let me ask you gently, what have you been planting lately? Is it doubt? Is it it's not happening? Is it maybe it's not for me? Or is there a part of you, a quiet, almost hidden part, that still dares to believe? Because that part of you, that hopeful whisper, that is the voice that knows. And when you write something down, when you slow down enough to take what is invisible and make it visible, something shifts. You begin to see what you've been holding inside. You begin to feel it differently. And most importantly, you begin to choose. Not from fear, but from awareness. You see, the universe, life, whatever name you feel most connected to, it doesn't respond to what you say once. It responds to what you embody. And writing, my dear, is one of the gentlest ways to step into that embodiment. Because when you write, I am ready, I am open, I am becoming, you're not just stating something, you're stepping into it. Take a moment, feel that. There is a difference between wishing and becoming. Wishing feels distant, like something outside of you. But becoming feels close. It feels like something is already unfolding within you, even if you can't see it yet. And this is where so many people misunderstand their journey. They think the delay means denial. They think the silence means nothing is happening. But what if the silence is actually preparation? What if everything is rearranging quietly, invisibly, in ways your eyes cannot yet perceive? Like roots growing beneath the soil before anything breaks through the surface. You don't see the roots, but they are there, strengthening, anchoring, preparing for something that can actually last. Because, my dear, anything that arrives too quickly, without depth, without grounding, it fades just as quickly. But what is built slowly, intentionally, with awareness, that stays. So maybe, just maybe, this time you've been calling waiting is actually becoming. And here is where I want you to soften even more. You don't need to force clarity. You don't need to rush your path. You don't need to have everything figured out today. All you need is to begin listening differently. And writing is one of the most sacred ways to listen, not to the noise, but to the truth beneath it. Let me guide you gently here. When you sit down with a pen, with a notebook, or even just a quiet moment, don't rush. Don't overthink. Just breathe and ask yourself, what is my heart trying to say that I've been too busy to hear? And then write. Not perfectly, not beautifully, just honestly. Because honesty is where your power lives. You may be surprised by what comes through. Things you didn't realize you were holding. Dreams you pushed aside. Feelings you tried to ignore. And as they come, don't judge them. Don't analyze them. Just let them exist. Because the moment you allow something to exist, you give it space to transform. And this is where the magic begins. Not the kind of magic that flashes and dazzles, but the quiet kind. The kind that changes you from the inside out. You see, sweetheart, when you write something down with presence, you're not asking the universe to hear you. You're finally hearing yourself. And when you hear yourself clearly, when your thoughts, your feelings, your intentions align, life begins to reflect that clarity back to you. Not instantly, not always in the way you expect, but inevitably, because clarity creates direction, and direction creates movement, even when it feels slow, even when it feels invisible. Something is always shifting. So, instead of asking, why isn't it here yet? Try asking, what am I becoming while it's on its way? Feel the difference in that question. One comes from lack, the other from trust. And trust, my dear, is where everything changes. Because when you trust, you stop gripping so tightly. You stop chasing so desperately. You begin to allow, and allowing is not passive. It is powerful. It is the quiet confidence that says, I don't need to force what is already finding its way to me. Take a breath with me again. Inhale slowly and exhale gently. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not missing your moment. Your moment is being shaped right now in ways you cannot yet see, but will one day understand. And writing is your way of meeting that moment halfway, of saying, I am here, I am aware, I am ready to receive in a new way. So tonight, or tomorrow, or whenever you feel that gentle pull, sit down, take a breath, and write, not because you have to, but because you are choosing to listen. And as you do, something within you will begin to soften, to open, to align. And you may not notice it immediately, but slowly, quietly, beautifully, you will begin to change. And when you change, everything around you begins to respond. Write it down, because what you are willing to face gently, you are finally ready to transform. Take a slow breath with me again, in and out, and just notice. how different this moment feels compared to before. Something has softened, hasn't it? Maybe just a little, maybe barely noticeable, but it's there. That quiet shift inside you, that's where everything begins. You see, my dear, most people believe that change happens when something outside of them finally arrives. The opportunity, the relationship, the breakthrough. But the truth, the deeper truth, is that change begins long before anything appears on the outside. It begins the moment you stop running from yourself and start sitting with yourself, gently, honestly, without pressure, without judgment. And this is why writing is so powerful. Not because it makes things happen instantly, but because it brings you back into relationship with your own inner world. Let me ask you something, softly. When was the last time you truly listened to yourself without interrupting your own thoughts, without correcting them, without saying, I shouldn't feel this way? Because so often, you've been taught to fix yourself before you even understand yourself, to rush past discomfort, to silence your doubts, to hide your fears. But sweetheart, what if nothing inside you needs to be silenced? What if it just needs to be seen? Take a breath, because this is where many people turn away, not because they're weak, but because they've never been shown how to sit with themselves in a safe, gentle way. So let me show you. When you write something down and you notice fear coming up, don't push it away. Write it. Let it speak. Let it say, I'm afraid this won't work. Let it say, I don't know if I'm good enough. Let it say, what if I fail again? And as you write those words, don't tighten, don't resist. Just breathe and stay present. Because here's something most people don't realize. Fear loses its power the moment it is fully expressed without resistance. It's like a shadow. It only seems large when you refuse to look at it directly. But when you bring light to it, it softens. It changes. It begins to dissolve. And this is where writing becomes more than a practice. It becomes a bridge between who you've been and who you're becoming. Because when you allow everything inside you to come forward without judgment, you stop fighting yourself. And the moment you stop fighting yourself, your energy changes, your focus changes, your entire way of being begins to shift. And life always responds to who you are being, not who you're trying to pretend to be. So instead of writing only what you think you should feel, write what is actually true for you right now, even if it's messy, even if it's unclear, even if it doesn't sound positive. Because real transformation doesn't begin with forced positivity. It begins with honest awareness. And from that awareness, something beautiful starts to emerge. Clarity. Not the kind that comes from thinking harder, but the kind that comes from allowing more. Let me guide you deeper into this. Imagine your mind like a room, and for a long time, things have been placed in that room without being sorted. Old beliefs, old stories, old emotions. Some of them aren't even yours. They were given to you by experiences, by people, by moments that left an imprint. And without realizing it, you've been trying to create something new in a space that hasn't been cleared. So it feels crowded, confusing, overwhelming at times. But when you write, you begin to gently take things off the shelves. You begin to look at them, to ask, does this still belong to me? Is this still true for who I am now? And slowly, piece by piece, you begin to create space. And space is where new possibilities enter. You don't force them. You don't chase them. You create space, and they arrive. Because life, my dear, flows into openness, not resistance. And this is the deeper shift I want you to feel. You are not here to control every outcome. You are here to align with what is already trying to meet you. But alignment doesn't happen through force. It happens through awareness, through presence, through a willingness to sit with what is, so you can gently move into what is becoming. Take another breath. Feel your body. Feel your heart. There is nothing you need to rush. Nothing you need to prove. Nothing you need to fix all at once. You are allowed to unfold slowly. And writing is your way of honoring that unfolding. Now, I want to bring you into something even deeper, something subtle, but incredibly powerful. When you write something down, especially something you desire, notice how you feel as you write it. Not just the words, but the emotion behind them. Because this is where many people unknowingly block themselves. They write what they want, but inside, they feel doubt. They write, I am ready for abundance. But underneath, there is a whisper saying, is that really true? And that quiet whisper carries more energy than the words themselves. So don't ignore it. Don't try to cover it up. Acknowledge it, gently, lovingly. You might write, I want to believe I am ready, and part of me is still learning to trust that. Do you feel the difference? There is no resistance there, only honesty, only openness. And that openness is what allows transformation to happen naturally, because you're no longer pretending, you're becoming. And becoming is a process, a beautiful, layered, unfolding process, where each moment of awareness brings you closer to alignment. And alignment brings you closer to receiving, not because you forced it, but because you allowed it. So the next time you sit down to write, don't just focus on the outcome. Focus on the connection to yourself, the connection to your truth, the connection to the version of you that is already growing beneath the surface. Even if you can't fully see her yet, even if you're still learning how to trust her, she's there, quietly evolving. With every breath you take, with every moment you choose awareness over fear, with every word you write that comes from truth instead of pressure, you are meeting her, and she is guiding you more than you realize. So take a moment now, close your eyes if you need to, and ask yourself gently, what am I ready to release so I can make space for what I truly desire? Don't rush the answer. Let it come. And when it does, write it down, not to force it away, but to acknowledge it, to honor it, to let it move through you. Because release is not about pushing something out. It's about allowing it to complete its time within you. And once it completes, it naturally makes room for something new, something aligned, something that reflects who you are becoming, not who you used to be. And that, my dear, is where your power truly lives. Not in controlling the future, but in consciously choosing who you are in this moment, over and over again, gently, patiently, lovingly. Write it down, because what you are ready to receive is already moving toward you, and your openness is what allows it to arrive. Take a slow breath with me, in and out, and just feel that for a moment. You don't have to reach for anything right now. You don't have to prove anything. You are simply here, present, becoming aware of a deeper truth that has always been quietly waiting for you to notice it. My dear, let me ask you something softly. What if the reason things haven't fully arrived yet is not because they are far away, but because a part of you is still learning how to feel safe receiving them? Take that in, gently, because this is where everything begins to shift in a profound way. So often, you've been taught how to want, how to chase, how to work for something. But no one ever really teaches you how to receive. And receiving is not as simple as it sounds, because to receive fully, you must feel worthy. You must feel safe. You must feel open. And if there is even a small part of you that still holds on to, what if it doesn't last? What if I lose it? What if I'm not enough to hold it? Then your energy very subtly begins to close, not in a way you can always see, but in a way you can feel, a quiet tightening, a hesitation, a holding back, and life responds to that, not as punishment, but as reflection, because life is always mirroring your inner state. So if there is hesitation within you, life will move in a way that matches that hesitation. But when you soften, when you open, when you begin to feel safe with the idea that something beautiful can stay, everything begins to shift. And this is why writing becomes such a sacred practice at this stage, because now you're not just writing your desires. You're writing yourself into a new relationship with receiving. Let me guide you into this gently. When you sit down to write, instead of asking only, "What do I want?" I want you to ask, "Can I allow myself to have this fully without fear?" And just notice what comes up. No judgment, no pressure, just awareness. Because if something within you tightens, that's not a sign to stop. That's a sign to listen more deeply. You might write, "I want this, and I notice a part of me feels afraid it won't last." And then you stay with that. You breathe with that. You don't rush past it. Because that awareness is what begins to create safety. And safety is what allows receiving. You see, sweetheart, you don't receive what you force. You receive what you feel safe to hold. Let that settle into you. And now, I want you to feel into something even more subtle. Receiving is not something that happens in the future. It's something you practice in the present, in small ways, gentle ways, every single day. It's in the way you allow yourself to enjoy a quiet moment without guilt. It's in the way you accept kindness without deflecting it. It's in the way you acknowledge your progress instead of dismissing it. These small moments, they matter more than you realize, because they are teaching your mind, your body, your heart, it is safe to receive. And as you practice that, life begins to reflect it back to you in bigger and bigger ways. But it starts here, in the subtle, in the unseen, in the way you relate to yourself when no one else is watching. So let's soften into this together. Take a breath and gently repeat within yourself, I am learning to receive in a way that feels safe for me. Feel those words, not as something you need to force, but as something you are allowing. Now again, I am allowed to have what I desire, and I am becoming ready to hold it. And again, I trust that what is meant for me will meet me as I open. Let these words move through you slowly, because affirmation is not about repetition alone. It's about feeling. It's about letting the words settle into your body, into your nervous system, into your sense of self. And you don't have to feel it perfectly. You don't have to believe it completely right away. You just have to stay open. Because openness is what creates possibility. Now, I want to gently speak to something that may still be sitting quietly within you. A hidden resistance, a subtle fear, the kind that whispers, what if I open and I get hurt again? And my dear, that fear is valid. Of course it is. You've experienced things. You've felt disappointment. You've had moments where something didn't go the way you hoped. And your mind, your heart, learned to protect you. So if you feel hesitation, that doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you've been trying to keep yourself safe. And that deserves compassion, not criticism. So instead of pushing that fear away, I want you to hold it gently, like you would hold a child who is unsure. You don't force them to move forward. You reassure them. You sit with them. You let them know they are safe. So when that fear arises within you, you might write, it's okay that a part of me feels afraid. I am learning to feel safe again. Do you feel the softness in that? That's where healing happens. Not in force, but in understanding. And as you continue to meet yourself in this way, something begins to change. You begin to trust yourself more. You begin to feel grounded, even in uncertainty. And from that grounded place, you open, not recklessly, but consciously. And that kind of openness is powerful because it is rooted in awareness, not need. So now, let's bring this into your everyday life, gently, naturally. You don't need to make big dramatic changes. You don't need to become someone else overnight. You simply begin to notice, where can I allow a little more ease today? Where can I choose a softer thought? Where can I acknowledge something good, even if it's small? Maybe it's the way you speak to yourself in the morning. Maybe it's the way you pause instead of rushing. Maybe it's the way you write one sentence, one truth, one intention, and let that be enough, because it is enough. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not missing anything. You are unfolding in your own perfect timing, and everything that is meant for you is not being withheld. It is being aligned with you, with who you are becoming, with the version of you that can receive it, hold it, and truly experience it. So take one more breath with me. In, slowly, and out, gently, and just feel this You are safe to open. You are safe to receive. You are safe to become. And as you continue to write, continue to listen. Continue to soften. You will begin to notice something beautiful. Life is not ignoring you. It has been listening all along. And now, you are finally listening too. And that, my dear, is where everything begins.